Right, well, it's a best of 5 here in the finals of the ESL Open Cup Europe, as always, and today it's a PvZ. In the top left corner of the map, the blue Protoss player from Sidestorm Gaming, MaxPax. And in the bottom right, our red Zerg from Kaizi Gaming is Reynor. We did just watch his semi-final as he knocked down Hero Marine to make it into this finals. Let's see if he will have what it takes to round it out today. As we enter this finals and we get a going. So, some of the best in Europe gonna fight each other here. Let's see what we can get out of it. Let's see what this turns into. Let's see what sort of fun we're gonna have on the table today. Overlord just crossing over towards the natural, having a little bit of a spot, nothing really wild. Obviously the pro blocks the hatch initially, so the third base location is taken pretty much straight away. It's just taking that out on the front. Max is coming in on the side of MaxPax again. That's set up on the natural already. This probe is going to come and obviously just cause some chaos around the back. Nibbling up a couple of mineral lines and just trying to slow things down and be a distraction here in the early stages. Reynor asking for a moment of peace. MaxPax will back it up for a second and come back around. Wow. How nice of MaxPax. Well, good. MaxPax gonna get back to it. Very mannered from MaxPax, huh? Yeah, this is one of these little things which is just, it's just like a war of APM at the start, right? Reynor has to fight to keep his drone stacked. It's one of those things where, because the Protoss, like, if there's just a gentleman's agreement that you don't do it, it's just like, cool, we just both won't do it, but obviously MaxPax is going to do it, just in case Reynor doesn't deal with it properly, and if Reynor doesn't deal with it properly, MaxPax takes an advantage, right? Like, you know, it's so funny because obviously 9 times out of 10 in these kind of games, at least, it makes no difference because everyone can deal with it just fine and it's just dealt with. But yeah, kind of funny, right? And obviously, like I say, MaxPax is backing it up for a second. Like I say, MaxPax doesn't really lose out on anything by backing it up for a second. It's not like Reynor just gets away with a bit of an advantage, because if Reynor was paying attention fully, he would have just had the same effect. So yeah, like I said, a weird little situation. You don't see a lot of people agreeing to just stop playing for a few seconds, essentially. Anyways, fun start to the finals. Good spirits from both of them as we get going. The Adept at the front here already grabbing a kill, just the drone transferring between bases. One of the benefits of having forced that Patry onto a different location is that the Adepts can sit in a more neutral position and very easily maybe catch a drone or two for their efforts. So yeah, these Adepts having a good time. Ooh, they commit to the... sorry, they cancel the shade. They commit to the main. I think that was a mistake, because you saw how quickly one of those Adepts then died. They'd shaded out. Unless maybe I didn't see where the Adept was shading to. Maybe the shade location was no good. That's the only real excuse I can create there for MaxPax, because actually that would have been way better to just shade out. If the Adepts were shading somewhere safe, they would have been better to have just shaded out and kind of head home a little bit. Uh-oh. This Oracle took a lot of damage on the way in as well. And, ooh, that Queen even turned around and could have been even more HP off the Oracle. One drone kill only from the Oracle. A little bit unfortunate, as we do just have our few lings still set up on the top. And the Oracle coming out. Just going to be seen how Ling's going to go running over the left-hand side. Oracle will activate and clean up a few of those Lings pretty much straight away. He's just going to push those back pretty much immediately. I'm going to see that Oracle continuing across, and Lings will take a little bit more damage as our drones continue through. A couple of Spore Crawlers on the way out. And as the Oracle shows up, a few Queens are once again just there pretty quickly to turn this around and deal with it. So defense has been pretty darn good from Reynor. I mean, we talk about the damage done. 2 Adepts for 2 drones and 5 Lings. Isn't terrible, isn't amazing. I think Reynor's very happy, especially because the Oracles just haven't found any damage at all. You know, if the Oracle had been able to find some damage, MaxPax is probably pretty okay with this. The Oracle not finding really anything at all is, yeah, like I say, pretty solid defense from Reynor. quiet in the Forge as the follow-up of MaxPax starts setting up in towards that Blink follow-up, which we see oh so often in this day and age of PvZ. Reynor is going to initially tech into a lair. Nothing else on the map from him yet, so there's an Evo chamber. I have to imagine probably a melee upgrade. And with a melee upgrade and a lair, I don't think we're going to see a Spire, right? Spire feels a bit weird. I'm just trying to think what else we could see. Just play Link Bane Hydra, right? Just Link Hydra initially, get the Bane Nest a bit further down the line when it lines up a bit better. Probably would make quite a lot of sense. There's a melee upgrade that was absolutely expected. Let's just see what comes off the lair. It feels like a Hydra den at this point. I think Spire is just a little bit too crazy. Because you don't have anything to really back up the Mutalisks with on the ground initially. Like, even just if you need to defend for a little while the mutas get out, you just have Lings. So, yeah, I feel like Spire is maybe a bit of a stretch, but we are waiting for 200 gas, and there's 2 more gases being taken, so maybe this does start to turn into a Spire kind of game. He's put it down. Yeah, it's going to be a Spire. Okay, okay. It's dangerous, though, right? There's definitely a timing window where Reynor's going to be a little bit weak, and he's going to be really relying on the threat of just a lot of Zerglings to scare the Stalkers off. And to keep them from ever really committing in. He is building a Roach-Roaring. Obviously, they will not have any sort of upgrades or anything, so a few Roaches if he maybe needs to help solidify a defense, but again, does he really want to build the Roaches? No, he wants to just hold off and build purely Lings, and every little drop of gas that he mines is going to be invested into those mutas. That's the ideal for Reynor right now. Just catch these 2 Adepts, so shuts down that possible harassment before it even begins, so good to take that off the table before, like I say, it's even starting to be utilized. Stalkers and the Oracle still just sat at the front, and the creep spread is just edging on forward. Stalkers will come through and get rid of a couple of creep teamers again. With the Stasis Ward going down, as our Stalkers will continue to fight. The Queen's taking a little bit of a beating. Oh, good Stasis Ward catches a lot of the Lings, so there you go. Reynor was starting to threaten with the Lings. The Stasis Ward shuts them down. That's scary enough. MaxPax is building a Robo Bay. I'm kind of worried that he has just no idea about these Mutalisks. You know, a Robo Bay doesn't help at all. Charge doesn't help. He's building a few more Stalkers, but these Stalkers have to be careful because these Lings are already set to come and jump on top of another Stasis Ward. Hello. I feel like we've just been here. We've just seen this one before. Reynor has 1100 gas, so 11 Mutalisks can start a build right now. It is time to build them. If there ever was a time. Charge on the way up from MaxPax. The probe still producing +2 attack upgrade coming out from MaxPax, as well as the Stalkers put themselves pretty much just on top of those Zerglings, and the Lings will once again be chased away pretty swiftly. $15 mutas. He waited for building the mutas just a little while longer, and now he's going to really commit to them. Man, 50 mutas are going to show up, and MaxPax is going to have zero idea that it's happening. I mean, that's the brutal part of it, right? That MaxPax is just going to be going into this basically completely blind. No clue what's going on. This feels really rough. We just see an Observe again. Shot down by a few Queens there. The Oracles coming over the right side, and the Queen's quick there to grab couple shots, and again, just the information isn't really there at all. There'd be so much more stack defense being established if MaxPax had any idea. The stack defense that's on the way up is to protect from frontal attacks, protect bases on the front lines, not to protect Mutalisks, which I believe, coming up this top side now, might have just been seen. I thought I saw something blue on the minimap there. I think MaxPax is getting an idea of it as we start to push forward with a few units. Mutas are going to dive straight into the main base, so Reynor is not messing around, directs his attention to, you know, some of the most important places on the map straight away. A couple of the reinforcing mutas get shot down quickly. We do have Stalkers which can slow down the mutas. The problem is the Stalkers don't have, even with Blink, don't quite have the mobility they need to fully match the mutas, and at the same time the Lings are just going to swarm this base. Well, there's a Colossus here. You would think that might be a good point of defense, and it definitely will help. In fact, the Colossus so far, 28 kills, 32 kills. And the Colossus is a big reason why we're still alive here. The other Colossus is just going to survive. 38 kills on one Colossus, 22 on the other. Those 2 Colossi alone have killed off 60 Zerglings. Well, Colossi definitely saving the day a little bit for MaxPax, but the mutas are just been rampaging. 40 probes dead, Obviously, MaxPax has no aggression across the map. A couple of Zealots. Well, okay, sorry. He's got a few Zealots that have killed a hatchery, but not a hatchery that Reynor was in desperate need of. So even that part of this is not exactly ideal. Far from it, in fact, as Stalkers, Colossi, starting to counterattack. I mean, at this point, Reynor is just going to go for it. The Mutas just dive the Colossi, then the Lings will absolutely overwhelm when it comes to the Stalkers. And in we go. The Stalkers will try and fight a few more Stalkers on the way. The Mutas realize the Prism is right there for grabbing. Don't think the one Archon is going to make the difference here as MaxPax gets wiped on his attempted attack across the map. And this is going to be Reynor picking up the first aim of this final with pure Ling Muta. I mean, the Mutas were hitting so well. I feel like MaxPax down a game in the top right-hand side to start us off, at least, is going to be the blue Protoss player, MaxPax. He fights against the red Zerg in the bottom left corner from Kaisi Gaming, Reynor. He does have that 1-0 lead. We'll play follow the probe across the map, as once again the probe is coming across early to block the hatchery attempt. Force that third base location, which started off decently for MaxPax, got an initial drone kill, and just from there felt like everything went very wrong very quickly for MaxPax, so hopefully we'll have a better time. Let's go of it. Don't know why MaxPax didn't push after the first stasis Ling trap. I think he was afraid of what was behind those Lings, and obviously if you start pushing when the Lings are trapped, you then still have to get out pretty quickly, because otherwise the Lings will unstasis and then just surround you, right? So you're still kind of limited in just how much you can get done, I suppose. Hatch, gas and pool. Again, it was that third base location hatchery to start us out with you. And we do have an Overlord journeying across the map as well, so all of our early game bits and pieces are coming together nicely so far here in this game too. Inside now, wondering what MaxPax might do. Well, I'm thinking about if he might use glaives at all in this series, and I'm thinking it's definitely a possibility, right? Like, it's definitely something which I think is at some point in a best of 5, and with MaxPax being in charge of it, I definitely think it's the kind of thing he would like to do, so definitely think that would be not a bad idea. See our probe moving to the center of the map. While Council building up from MaxPax, it's going to be seeing the Nexus on the way in. Warp Gate coming up. Lings, Queens, Ling Speed all beginning to produce. It's just going to be seeing our Adept chanting down through the middle of the map. Ling Speed and a few Zerglings just on the way out for the moment. So there with the Twilight Council gives us the idea of MaxPax playing maps to that Glaives, right? And, well, like I said, inside now, not a bad map for it. I was kind of humming and hawing over if we'd see it. I said, yeah, I think in the best of 5 at some point we will. Look what Reynor was doing, though. Lings, Lings, Lings. He's Ling flooding, so it's not just MaxPax getting interested in this game. It's going to be Reynor as well. Now, the problem with going Glaives against the Ling flood is that you don't have an Oracle to help. And while Glaives is very good against a lot of Lings, you have to be perfect on the defense early, because you don't have the Oracle to help you, and you are going to have a lack of units initially, because obviously the initial Glaives isn't going to help at all, because it takes a long time to come into play. One Adept on the map is obviously less than ideal. That will die very quickly, and with that Adept already dead, well, the Stalker died as well over here, and we are going to start pushing our way through this gateway and just this area in general, opening up the map. I mean, this is obviously looking, honestly, very bad for MaxPax, no? I mean, he needs to wall forever, but he doesn't have any units on the way. He's going to lose one of his gateways here at the front. He currently has one gateway up. He's got batteries that are coming online at least. He's getting a little bit of additional defense going, I suppose. Super battery's going to pop to save the Cyber Core. That is something. Obviously, there is no warp gate on the... there's no warp gate on the way because it's already finished. so he does have Warp Gate. The Cybercore down would still cancel the Depths from being able to build, though. We're running out of battery energy to some extent. Do we have enough Lings to keep this up? The Cybercore now, I think, will just fall. We're not far away from Glaive, so the few Adepts that are up are likely to do very well. And this aggressive Link Flood from Reynor is maybe beginning to meet its end. A wall-off continues on the left-hand side. Battery, a bit more energy used to keep the Cybercore alive. A few moments longer, you got a bit of HP on those building pylons. Probe still blocking for the Adepts, and again with Glaives now done, the Adepts start to clean up these Lings way faster than they have done previously. A couple of Zealots, obviously that's all you can warp in right now, but they've been used to tank at the front, and is at least finding some success. The Lings finally break into this location, and they go through the natural expansion up into the main base, and they are just going to aim to shred as many probes as possible here. So 5 probes going down. A lot more Lings coming up again, and just going to be seeing the Adept production continuing as well. Zealots, Adepts continuing through. The few Lings want to come forward here, and just going to be seeing, well, maybe a bit of a wraparound about to happen. With Glaives, it's so difficult to find a good enough fight, though, for Reynor. I mean, these Lings just die so quickly. As I think MaxPax has done enough, because Reynor is still just building Lings. He's only just now started drones, so his economy is absolutely tattered and shattered and all the rest of it. So all you really need to do as MaxPax is go across the map with the Adepts and win the game, right? I don't think Reynor, in theory, can actually have enough stuff to hold off the Adepts getting across the map. Sick hold. I mean, obviously was not looking good at all initially. Took a little while to truly get going. Yeah, Link Flood is generally good against a Twilight-based opener as well. You saw all the things that MaxPax had to do just to try and survive, and was just about able to make it work. Purple Facility will be going down. Here comes the counterattack. Like I said, to me, this is game-ending counterattack damage imminent. Reynor's droned a lot and is now trying to mass Lings, but massing Lings, man, I mean, what you need is MaxPax to just not stack the Adepts up. If the Adepts ran in single file, 1 or 2 at a time, that maybe is where Reynor can win. If the Adepts all stick together like this, shouldn't really be possible, as the few Lings will trail in already having a bad time of it. And, you know, a couple of Adepts shaded over here were just taking a lot of Ling attention away from the natural, which is fine because the Adepts and the natural are working wonders already. And they're going to shade to intercept the drones that are trying to pull away from where they expected the Adepts to go. And, you know, 7 drone skill, these Lings trying to run forward. And these Queens just fighting nicely against the Adepts as well. The feelings still trying to run in. The Adepts doing a decent job still of that. I'm just going to be having GG's called. That is going to be MaxPax tying the series 1-1 with a defense against Reynor's Link Flood. The aggression doesn't quite. A third game here between these two guys as we get set up on map number 3. In the top right hand side, the blue Protoss player from Psystorm Gaming is MaxPax. Taking on in the bottom left, the red Zerg from Kaizi. It is Reynor. Alright then, a third map, and Reynor's aggression getting him pinned down to losing a game, and it all gets tied up in this series. It's not the last time we see aggression from Reynor. I think it's the last time we'll see a Link Flood at least. Drones just on the way out. Hatchery gets placed as we've seen it in the last couple of games as well, so that probe is there to force the hatch onto the third location. We've talked about that one in and out already, so nothing too spectacular to continue discussing there. And as the probe sets up on the mineral line, just goes nibbling those mineral patches a little bit. And that spawning pool coming up on the main base as well, so just getting that up and running. Next is an Acerbic on the way from MaxPax. So let's see what he goes with this game, because obviously last game he was choosing to play Glaives. And this is a much larger map, a much more generally macro-focused map, so you would imagine this map leads you into more so a Stargate build. That would be my expectation here to start us out with, but we will see exactly what the plan becomes fairly shortly. Once the pool finishes, the probe still coming in, nibbling around, just being as annoying as possible here in the early stages. Yeah, Warp Gate's on the way. Queen's Lings drones all producing for the moment, and just going to be seeing a couple of Lings of Reynor coming up the left-hand side. Stalker, Corona boosting out of the gateway, and still seeing our Ling speed on the way through as well, so yeah, everything just waiting to kind of get teched up and ready to party, aren't we? There's our Stargate, so it is going to be that Stargate from MaxPax, and I don't expect him to do anything weird off the Stargate. I just expect this to be a Stargate into pretty typical, kind of just, you know, move along. Just kind of get 2 or 3 oracles, probably into Blink from there. Just very similar to what he was trying to do in that first game, but obviously, hopefully you don't run into mutas that you never scouted this time around. Link speed is about to finish in the Adept of MaxPax. We'll shade forward. And for the drone gets it. The Ling's going to try and chase around a little bit. Adept will get caught here as the Lings get a wraparound. So, wrapping around, dealing with that nicely. Obviously, the quicker you push back Adepts, the less trouble you have to have with them. And now your Lings even get a bit of freedom to be out on the map and finding a bit of value, maybe finding a bit of opportunity, chances to deal damage. Those are the things you live for, right? Okay, it's still on the way up. It's going to see the Roach Roaring is coming through as well. As continuing into all of this at the moment as a few Adepts will come on forward and the few Lings decide they need to back away. And the Roach Roaring from Reynor. So that's something we haven't seen yet, because obviously that first game was just purely Lings. He built the Roach Roaring eventually just in case as he went into the Spire, but this of course a much earlier Roach Roaring this time around. Building quite a few Lings still. And only, I was going to say 30-ish drones, right? 35, sorry, it was 38 drones, and he built 2 spores and lost a couple. So, just thinking, like, he's losing a few drones, just wondering how aggressive he might be. There's no lair or anything, right? So it almost feels like he might just send it with a bit of a Roach Ling attack, and I think he's just cancelled the Roach Run in the background, because if the plan was a Roach Ling attack and it gets scouted by the Oracle, then there's no point going for the Roach Ling attack, because there's no lair, so it's very obvious as to what he's doing. And now he's lost those drones. I think Reynor realized he just has to replace them. His attack wouldn't be very potent. And, you know, figured it out, you know, delayed by the drone damage. I think Reynor in general realizing this was really not very great for him, as these Adepts, though, get caught. There was a lot of Adepts made, and they've really not done anything, so to lose them all is a bit of a shame. And then we've got Oracles that will have to come in to defend against the Lings. All those Adepts, if they combine with the Oracles, the Lings will struggle to kill them, but getting caught on their own really sucks. So we even warped in more Adepts defensively on the third base, which means at this point we were probably meant to be done with building Adepts. It was time to start building Stalkers for the, you know, +1 and Blink setup. But yeah, warping in even more Adepts, just more pain for MaxPax. You can see he had quite a bit of gas starting to stack up there. So yeah, I think definitely kind of the case. You see the Oracles turned around, but they do find more damage. I mean, you can't deny that MaxPax has done great damage this game. He's definitely had Reynor on the ropes a little bit with all of the drones that he's been able to find and kill so far. And he's done very well with that. Well, the upgrade coming through. And just going to be seeing the lag coming up as well. I wonder if Reynor thought it was maybe actually like a full glaive commitment after the Oracles, or even just thought it was Adepts in general, and then when he saw the Oracle, he also just thought, I don't need the Roaches. That would also account for the work account he was on. I wonder if I've just misread maybe that situation initially as well. Plausible. Probably likely, actually, the more I think about it. Than setting up for Roachling all in and then cancelling stuff doesn't really make as much sense, so yeah, I think that probably makes a little bit more sense. You just see our Lings wrapping around, Adepts going down, and 5 probes, 4 drones being denied. On both sides, damage is being done. I guess as well, that probably makes sense why he takes so much damage off the Oracle as well, right? Because then if he's not prepped for the Oracle because he's thinking it's Adepts, and then all the pieces kind of slide together as to why things have happened here. So yeah, I think Reynor got derped a little bit, reading this game a little bit incorrectly, and that's why he took that damage. Just got the 4th base cancel, which is nice. Even the Oracle's there, the Ling's in good enough numbers and catching the base early enough to find that cancel and to shut that down. Storkers and Adept still just gathering together. The Oracle's just sitting around up on the top. And again, +1 attack, not far from finishing from MaxPax. He's also going to play +1 armor, so second Forge in play. And Reynor just now starting to make his way into the Bane Nest and the Infestation Pit, so looking to the future in this game. See what he can try and get to. How the upgrade will finish. Just one armor chronobusting around. Things wanting to try and do what they can here. A couple of probes being picked away at Adepts. Taking some damage and just going to be seeing more and more of these Lings continuing to settle down together. Get rid of some of this creep spread. Just going to be seeing a lot of this creep being cleaned out. Pushing forward a little bit. 5. On the way up as well as our few Lings trying to get by. Stasis Ward will pop on a few of those Lings and just going to be seeing our Stalkers grab one of the Queens. The other Queen getting just caught up in the stasis as MaxPax's attack here. Not enough to really break through Reynor and his defenses. Well, Reynor doesn't have Bane speed, so the Banes are a little bit less active than they want to be. I mean, the surround's great, the flank from the Lings is just fab because even now blinking back, the Stalkers are still somewhat in range of the Lings. Even if not fully surrounded, the Lings are still able to kind of hit the Stalkers for quite a while, so it goes a long way. Quite the benefit as these Stalkers will take down a Queen here, and that one floats off to the distance as it gets picked. Stalkers want to try and get the Overseer, and I mean, they do. Natling's on the counterattack, so Reynor realizing that, hey, maybe if I can distract him a little bit as well, I can do better for myself, and you know, maybe make my defense at home a bit easier by doing some damage as well. He actually stopped more Banes though, which I think he could have maybe done pretty well just running straight into the Nexus, though, I guess. If it's only Lings that Warpin deals with it pretty quickly. These Banes on their own is kind of the issue that I have, though. Reynor doesn't have really much to fight at home, so it did feel like he was in a bit of pressure to do something quickly on the other side of the map. He's now coming in with these Banes, and, well, he just used most of the Banes. He had a couple left, but they didn't hit the Zealots. He's trying to get the probes. Feels like a kind of a nasty fight, though, and MaxPax looking very good on the bottom side. I do not think Reynor is going to clean up this army. He's definitely not doing enough across the map to justify taking this damage either. I think we've got MaxPax looking very good in this game number 3. 2 more Lings running in. I just don't feel like it's ever going to be enough. Here come the Lings from the other side. There is a Stasis Ward that Reynor deals with pretty well by just kind of moving away from it, only letting a couple Lings be caught. Stalkers continuing to trade out. The few Zealots start to stream in together as well. Those Lings is continuing around. The Zealots is taking a chance just to kind of jump in on top of this. With the Zealots getting on top of Queens and Lings, I mean, you need the Banelings against those, but the Stalkers, well, the Stalkers are just continuing to do a fantastic job on the other side. And if the Banes aren't rolling towards them, they can just stand and fight pretty nicely as well. So they can do very well for themselves. Adrenal Glands about to finish up. A couple of Overlords being shot down. This Infestation Pit, I think, is likely to be going soon. I mean, the Zealots find this base as well. Also, pretty much just purely disastrous. Yeah, this is, I think, my friends, gonna be MaxPax. Well, I say I think, I absolutely know that it's gonna be MaxPax taking this game, and a 2-1 lead for MaxPax is gonna put him into winning position now in this finals here against Reynor. Guys, nope. Bottom right, 2-1 in the lead is MaxPax. Top left, our red Zerg player is Reynor. Game 4 of this best of 5. And let's see what goes down here. This fourth map, MaxPax with a 2-1 lead. and chance to win this ESL Open Cup Europe. MaxPax does pretty well against Reynor, doesn't he? I feel like MaxPax does well against Reynor more often than I'd expect him to, I suppose. I don't know if that's... I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm trying to say with this. I feel like a lot of the time, like, I go into these series and I almost always think Reynor's going to be much stronger. And I know MaxPax is very good. There's just something about that kind of aura of Reynor, which you feel like, man, is like, MaxPax is good, but is he that good to take down Reynor? And I'm like, well, yeah, he is, but like, I still, for some reason, just feel like it should always be Reynor that can come out on top. But it's really not true. The amount of times that you then see them go up against each other and MaxPax coming out better for it. I feel like in the more important matches, Reynor does actually find the better success, right? Let's have a look. MaxPax... pretty much... okay, MaxPax is actually on a pretty horrible losing streak against Reynor for a while. Yeah. I guess it's just recently there's been a few times where MaxPax has looked decent against Reynor. Or Reynor's looked a little bit weaker than I thought he would against MaxPax. Anyways, I actually thought it was... I thought the history was going to be a little bit better for MaxPax, but quite frankly it wasn't, so I'm just going to put that point away in a shoebox, tuck it under the bed, and not talk about it. Ling speed, Lings, Queens, all coming out. Just going to be seeing our Nexus building on the side of MaxPax here. I'm just going to see the Adept shading through the center of the map to the upper left, and it's a Twilight opening, so MaxPax going to go back to the Twilight opener. It's very exciting, isn't it? Obviously, we never really got to see him play the Glaives, and obviously he's playing quite a tricky series to Reynor. He had him, I think he definitely had him fooled in that last game, actually, what Reynor was expecting versus what actually happened. And so now, as you play Twilight Council, I wonder if Reynor was cautious about the fact that it might not be Twilight, but then it actually is Twilight, and yeah, like I say, the mind games are definitely in full swing here today, and definitely something that Reynor's going to have to try and figure out ASAP here to get back on track and to stay okay. Couple of Debs dealing some decent damage, some shots going down. I mean, they've found a couple of kills, 7 Lings, but 2 probes have gone down. We do not see any drone kills yet. Now we have 1, now we have 2. So in the end, actually, these Adepts do very well. To get that many Lings and to get a couple drones, I think is fantastic. Even if you're going Glaives, losing Adepts usually isn't great, but it's a lot of slowdown on Reynor's initial setup. And now, yeah, he probably feels a lot less comfortable because he doesn't have as many Lings to be on the map with. Maybe even replaces some of them a little bit too soon because he lost some early. Good things to be aware of, I guess. Robo facility coming up here from MaxPax, so pretty late Robo, as he is just playing 3 gates. There's not going to be a Prism with these Adepts initially, right? There's just going to be Adepts at first, and then the Robo can build maybe some Immortals and a Prism later. But the first round of this shouldn't really be about the Robo facility at all, as Reynor does have a better read on this time around. And this is kind of what he was doing last game. Roach Rowan coming in, the Ling Roach setup to deal with the Adepts. Seems to be what he was aiming for last time. As Madek, thank you so much for the 8-month resub. Cheers to you as well. Thank you so much for the support. Alright, first Adept shitting across. There's a bunch of extra gates. So actually, maybe I was wrong about the Immortals. Maybe just a Prism and more Adepts. Is the plan here from MaxPax to try and swing this in his favor early and quickly. Adepts just poking around. War Prism. A few more Adepts all on the way out. All of these gates just going to be finishing up, and we do have Roaches of Reynor producing on the other side of the maps. Again, 5, 6 Roaches all on the way. Obviously, that's the correct thing against this. Will he have enough against 6 gates of Adepts, I guess is the question. So far, I think, yeah, he absolutely will. What are the spores for? In case if it's a Dark Shrine follow-up, right? If it's a DT follow-up, you, I mean, you might not want all of them, but, like, generally you still want the spores just in case it's DTs on the backup, right? Because if you go Glaives DTs, it's not super common nowadays, but it was definitely a start for a while. You already have the Twilight Council, so it's something you can get into. Deb's going to shade into the natural, where the Lings will not have a great fight. The Roaches will be a little slow to get over here to help. A couple of Adepts over here will find a couple of workers. Nothing too major. It's a lot of adepts that have actually died here, right? They've definitely not been looking too great. Killed quite a few lings. Resources lost is pretty even as MaxPax has more adepts showing up. And now he's got adepts in 3 places. He's got adepts in the natural, main, and the third. So Reynor has to really split up very well to deal with this. And now some of the drones are going down. So now MaxPax is finding some of that damage he's looking for. And Reynor down to 31 workers. Looking worse for wear, but he did clean up most of the adepts. By cleaning up most of the adepts, he could potentially threaten his own counterattack. And he can also just purely focus on droning now as well, because he doesn't really need to make more units, because he already has the unit advantage. That definitely is... Okay, I like it for MaxPax, so I can see how Reynor gets back. Like I said, I mean, it was good damage done in the end, but because you lose your adepts, it just means that Reynor now does have freedom to drone. And yeah, initially that is going to be catching up, but eventually it's going to put him into a bit of a lead. You can see MaxPax very late on his third base as well, right? He only just started that now. Usually a Protoss would have a third base well before this, so... yeah, the third is much later, and that's part and parcel of this build that MaxPax is going for. And hence, part of the way that Reynor might still be okay, despite the damage taken thus far. There is building, drones are producing. Eva Chamber and a Spore coming up as we just continue to attack here from Reynor and solidify at home. Disruptors are building from MaxPax. He's going to go Warp Prism Speed as well, so eventually going to end up playing the Disruptors here. Obviously a very cute way of going about this. Unless these depths threaten the shade into the mineral line, we'll not get that. A few more Stalkers will be warping in. Just going to be having those Stalkers going straight after an Overlord. So Overlord already taking just a few shots of damage is going to go down. Supply blocked here. And oh, it's the little things that'll add up right now. Little things like that can go a long way. As you do have a Prism Speed not far from finishing. Like I say, those Disruptors could set the game into a great setup for MaxPax. A couple good Disruptor shots can change everything right now. I mean, you look at worker counts, it's pretty good for MaxPax, even with, or even slightly ahead of Reynor. You look at army supplies, Reynor's okay, but it is kind of low tech. It's just Ling Roach, not even Banelings yet. And again, he's playing against Disruptors. He has to be very good against the Disruptors. They really are very scary right now. MaxPax doesn't fire them too early onto these Queens. Obviously, if you fire them, then they're no longer a threat, and Reynor can engage much more easily. Now we're using one of them to zone a little bit. A lot of Stalkers behind this. They do not have Blink yet, but they're on their way to Blink. Uh-oh, that Disruptor shot's going to be massive. The Roaches are just moving forward into it. Both Disruptors can be saved, of course, by the Prism. With Stalkers on the follow-up here, I like that a lot for trading against the Roaches. Some Adepts have gotten into the natural, by the way. That's where the drones are dying, so drones going down as this attack will continue over here as well, though. Stalkers continue to move on forward. And getting set up they will, as our Stalkers are adept, trying to get a bit more damage done. Prism pulling back, Prism pressing forward here. Disruptors fire through, Roach and a Queen gonna get picked off pretty much straight away. Stalker's still firing onto these Roaches, and well, Blink now done, so you can trade a little bit better here as MaxPax as well. Still has the Disruptors in storage in that Warp Prism waiting to be used. Reynor supply is not looking too hot right now. Down 13 workers, so MaxPax doesn't even need to do too much with the army right now. Although he might just win the game with the army, quite frankly. You see melee upgrade being built, but Reynor has pretty much nothing but Roaches on the way out. Disruptor shot here, just going to zone the Roaches back, and it's just so powerful. Roaches all on the right side, we're gone, and he does actually clip a couple of Roaches here as well. Reynor down in this series and down in this game, looking as though he is down and out completely. As MaxPax overruns this base, Reynor supply block going to be losing even more Overlords. Here comes a few Lings, last-ditched effort on this army. He aims for the Disruptors, he gets one of them, and the Disruptor, oh my god, the Stalkers will almost split perfectly for a Disruptor shot to go in between. MaxPax takes the series 3-1, very aggressive series in a bunch of different ways, and from both players, making for quite the PVZ here. GG's, and that is MaxPax winning this out.